Oh, I know.
Now, do you start again with
Yeah.
here, sitting here talking to
No,
Jerome Cushman and
she
No,
is.
no, I just added on. We're okay.
What do you?
So tell me,
About color too.
talk about me about color. What do you? I know you used to call Belge wild boar. What do you see? I know I love color. So what's your perspective on color, Jerome?
The first, the 1936
Standard?
breed standard said that black was preferred,
Right.
but they also said the smaller, if of equal quality, is of more value.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there were a number of things. The reason why they say black was preferred is because it's still the results of Germany. Now, 36, there was a man in Munich, and that's in the book too. There was a
Right.
man in Munich who was sort of, anyway, he decided, he was breeding, and they were competing, and he decided that black was the best color, and it will be black, even though the original breeds, all the paintings, all the things early on, were of this other agouti color.
Right.
It's like a rabbit.
Right,
A
right.
wild rabbit. And so, but they also could produce black. But you also have to remember, in those early litters, the little dogs with the underbite and were smaller, they were put over here and called Affenpinscher, which is an adjective, not in a noun. And these over here were called miniature schnauzers because they had longer muzzles.
Right.
So, out of the same litter.
Right.
So, remember, that's where we all came from. And then people started to manipulate the breeding as Germany was wont to do. And then they developed the black ones. And they put, but everybody, even in Germany, were producing the Belge.
Right.
Or and we called it, early on we called it wild boar because there were already, I remember on 3 or 4 different occasions where judges would say to me, especially when I had the wild boar puppies in the ring, they would say, bring the Brussels Griffon over here. Now the first time I said, as I went back very diplomatically saying, it's an Affenpinscher, as I went over, oh that's right, okay. Then I finally did. The 4th time, I just did. I just held my leash and just put my arm across like this and looked at him. And he says, I said, bring the Brussels Griffon over here. And I said, it's an Affenpinscher. I walked out of the group without a ribbon.
The sacrifice.
But you have to make a point sometime. So, and then AKC decided that we couldn't use another. I said, well, you allow the Dachshunds to use wild boar. Why can't the Affenpinschers? Well, we don't. We're changing the, so you had to put that in. Then, and that was the 2000 or maybe 90 something. That was the first
Belge?
change of that was the first change of the standard,
Ah.
where we put no difference in ears, tail's not important, as long as it was carried high, and we changed the whole standard around to accept the natural ones, and we had to follow some of the vocabulary. And then in 2000 they redid it and didn't change much, but had cut out some of the wording that the AKC had demanded in the first time, because they had a real form that you had to follow in changing that standard. And in that early days, by the way, we had Lucille Meisted down in Florida, or Texas, who said they should be 13 inches tall. And I'm not going to, she was going to stand firm that it can be 9 to 13 inches. And I'm going, they're not going to go for this in AKC. That's, 9 to 13? Are you kidding me?
Quite a range.
Yeah, 4 inches to, just what? I mean, so we finally won that one. But when I first joined, the Affenpinscher Club of America was not accepted in the AKC.
Right.
They had made a number of comments to me, because then I was president, and I was trying to say, come on, why are we having supported entries and so on? And they made a mention of somebody who's sort of been running the club for a number of years, and she's got some attitude problems and so on. And I said, we can deal with all of that. We'll just, and so we worked our way through, and we got recognized, and then we got the standard changed and so on. So it was a lot of, they say that the club is divided now. You should have been there. In that.
A war.
Well, yeah, where, no, it was, listen, these wonderful people in New York, Monjoviers, Osmer, Kennel, Jane and Bob Forsyth showed
Yes,
for them.
yes.
They would come to a show and they would have 3 X-Pens, big circular X-Pens, with 35, 40 dogs in them. And I would say, oh, wonderful. You know, I had this little dog, and then I started showing against them and started beating them. And I wanted to buy some of them because, you know, they were not happy because they had the market in the area pretty much, and they would only go to shows where they thought nobody else would come. And that's the way it was in the day. The people in the Albany area would come when nobody else was around, and these people they would make their own majors, and they would finish their dogs. These people over here in the New York City area, they would bring theirs, and they would come, and then out here, and then, you know.
So it's like a tribe.
It was
Tribes.
Yeah, and you didn't encroach. And then, you know, I also, you bet. And I had Silky Terriers and Pomeranians, and so I said, well, they can't stop me, you know. So I had to bring in a couple, 2 or 3 Affenpinschers, show my little Silky Terrier special and my Pom special, and then end up trying to find handlers. So, and I would finish my dogs off of them. They were not happy. I tried to buy their dogs, and they would not. They lived in an apartment in Manhattan with probably 30 to 40 dogs in one room, and that's where they
Wow.
So the breed was interesting in those days. Now I can also go a different direction and tell you about, there was a time, the Wolof, the ladies, there was Helga and, I can't remember her sister's name. I had it last night. Anyway, and Mama, and they brought their dogs in from Germany. They bred their way. Then there are others, people were breeding their way. Then, because nobody ever did any crossing, they got finer and finer and finer bones, and you could set them down off the table and they'd break a bone.
Right.
And it was, referred to it as chicken